What if the answer to your deepest pain isn't running or hiding, which is what we typically do when we're in pain, when we're suffering, but it's to be seen, held, and supported? Amy Rees found herself in 2 marriages, and through those divorces, she found her female friendships really helped her to heal. In this episode, we talk about connection that doesn't require you to be perfect, just honest. It's about sisterhood, and Amy rebuilt her self-worth. She built it with a business rooted in her sisterhood. Okay, so we're going to jump into our peace reset moment. And I love doing this because I want you guys to really hear and feel this episode, to really understand the power that it has in your life. We've all been through really tough things. We've all wanted to hide, but to create support and love and to really see yourself through your human design, this is the moment that you get to choose to be you. So if you're sitting down, you can close your eyes. If not, go ahead and keep walking and keep doing what you're doing. But I want you to take a deep breath in, inhaling and exhale. And I want you to rub 2 of your fingers together. Really slowly feel the ridges of your fingers. Now rub your palms together. Feel your palms. Now picture yourself sitting in a quiet room. You've been holding everything together, carrying it all alone. But in this moment, you don't have to. One by one, the people who truly see you begin to arrive. Not to fix you, not to judge you, just to be with you. They sit in a circle around you, soft smiles, warm eyes. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to earn their love. Take a deep breath and feel the space around you expand. This is safety. This is sisterhood. This is a place where you can let go. Let go of the pressure to be strong all the time. Let go of the lie that you have to do it alone. Let go of all the fear that your pain makes you too much. Now breathe in this truth. I am allowed to be supported. I am worthy of being held. I don't have to carry it all alone anymore. One more deep breath. Let that circle support you, with you, inside of you. And as we step in today's conversation, you guys need to know this beautiful Amy Rees. Amy Rees moved to Atlanta for her dream job at CNN. During her difficult first and second marriage, she found sanctuary in a community art center where therapy came through clay and camaraderie. This convergence of art and sisterhood eventually inspired personality plates, a collection of hand-painted stoneware celebrating the bonds between women. Each piece honors the power of female friendships and the moments that define us. Okay, let's jump into the episode. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, Courtney. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to speak with you today.
Going to be great. Amy, take us back to that version of you in your first and second marriage.
Okay, I can do that. So, I was in my early 20s when I met my first husband. And yes, so there were actually 3. Third time's the charm, though, as I am a member of that club. And I'm currently married to number 3. He's wonderful. He's perfect for me. So that's been great. Yeah, 2 divorces. And the first one, I was really young. I fell head over in heels, that whole love at first sight from across a crowded room, super cliche. He was tall. He was handsome. He was an athlete. He was 6 and I was 5. So it was just, we were adorable together and everybody thought we were adorable together. And, again, I was young. I fantasized this perfect, romantic existence for us, right? Well, He was young, I don't know those of you who've been married to men that are 25 and 26, and sometimes they're mature and sometimes they've still kind of got that very young energy. And I don't
Yes.
think he was ready to be married. So I found myself kind of in this marriage where he wanted to do anything but be married once we got married, right? So he was always
Wow.
off at the bars with his friends and, having fun betting on games and focused on that or playing basketball, doing his own thing. And honestly, that attracted to me attracted me to him at first, right? A
Yes.
man's man. He has his own things, his own activities. And me being an only child, I'm very independent and I have my own interests. So again, I found that super attractive. But what happened later was he continued in that path and I was looking for a partner, a best friend. And
Yes.
sadly, we had moved out to the suburbs. So I did find myself a bit alone, secluded, away from all my original friends that I had made in my first job at CNN. Everybody else was down by the city. So I was far away. And I was sad. I was lonely. I felt neglected. I felt unloved. I felt unseen. And I started making some new friends, some female friends in the neighborhood. I started playing Alta tennis. So again, my go-to starting to just surround myself with women. So I'm in a women's tennis league. So I would have those women to have lunch with and spend time with. But at the end of the day, I still came home and he wasn't there. So I was again felt that inside loneliness. Well, one of my girlfriends at the time invited me to her pottery class. And that's when I discovered my creative side was in that class.
Oh,
So I started playing with the clay and I did hand building. And for me, as opposed to wheel, you really do get to kind of express a lot of emotions through clay when you're doing hand building. You get to throw
yes.
it, you have to throw it really hard, you get to punch it. All those feelings and emotions that you try to keep inside to be that proper little lady, back in 90s, then you're in this class and you're allowed to be loud and physical. And so I loved it. And then I started creating things. And of course, that just brought me so much joy. I was working with a bunch of other women in the studio. So again, I made some more, acquaintance friends and I just felt seen, felt connections. The creativity brought me joy. And that's really where I discovered that space for myself.
Oh,
And at that time, I wasn't even thinking business, right? So at that time, it
yeah.
was really just my hobby, my joy, my safe place, that's what it was for me.
Yeah. What were some of those thoughts and fears that kept you in those marriages for a while?
Well, I would say, that I'm an only child. I come from a very close-knit family. My parents were married for, many, many years. My dad actually passed away before they had a chance to celebrate like 25 years or more, but they would have been. They were 100% soulmates. They were best friends. They fit together really well and I'd always admired that and that's what I wanted. So I think part of it was as my role models were married and stayed together, but they didn't have big issues. They had, your typical marital things. So I don't think I knew how to handle the big stuff because, I just saw as a child a perfect couple.
Yes.
And then I think, to be fair, I did get out of the first marriage rather quickly. It was about 2.5 years in. There were some other circumstances in our marriage that were very unhealthy for me and for the marriage. So I did kind of have to leave. It was a financial, it was some other things. I don't want to get
Yeah.
anybody in
Yeah.
trouble, but financial, not physical. And I thought, I need to kind of protect myself and my savings and my future. And I left, but I was still madly in love with him when I got divorced. I really was, but I had to do what was best for me.
And was that hard to like kind of separate what was the ideal, what you really, really wanted, what we all really want, right? We all want to marry our best friend and we all want to have this like deep connection and love and partnership. Was it hard did you feel like almost like a grieving process
A
leaving those?
100%. I grieved for a very long time. And in fact, I probably got married almost to save myself from the grieving. My second marriage. So when I really think through that time of my life, I was turning 30. I was one of those people, I'm Gen X, right? I was born in 1966. My parents were happily married. I'm from that generation of you get married, you have children, right? And so here I am,
Yes.
30, no kids. And I think I felt those undefined pressures,
Yeah.
that tell you it's time, the ticking clock. You're 30, you're not married, you don't have your kids. And that was just kind of in my head. So I just knew I was supposed to get married again. And so I married the gentleman I was with, and he looked good on paper. Oh, I did it. And and then again, fast forward, all of a sudden I'm 40 years old and I'm looking at this person I've become, and I didn't like the person I became in that marriage. I think a lot of it was coming off of a divorce. I felt responsible for making this one work. I felt I was responsible for making the marriage work, making sure we were both always happy, making sure I had the kids, making sure I was the perfect mom, the perfect housekeeper, the perfect wife. And then, we turn 40 and start to have thoughts and feelings. I went back to a high school reunion and I saw all my friends and I recognized the person I'm being is really the me on the inside. I'm being me. I'm saying what I want to say. I'm behaving how I want to behave. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not second guessing it because childhood Amy, young Amy was around all the childhood friends and I was having a great time and I felt joy and happiness again, which had been missing in my marriage. So when I brought that version of Amy back home to my marriage with my husband and my two children, it was not welcomed.
Mm.
Because again, I don't know who is to blame. I don't know. But the bottom line was I reacted to him through our marriage, became the person I was supposed to be. So when I woke up, and wanted to be who I really was, it wasn't who he wanted. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
when and it's those unfiltered, those free moments of being really authentic. And it's not like it's that authentic freedom to be who you're meant to be. And having those in that marriage was squelching the freedom and not even realizing the patterns that you have created and coming to this awareness of, wait a second, that's not the pattern I want to continue. I don't want to continue going down this road. So you shared how your female friendships helped you break free and heal. How did they do that? How did that support? Because a lot of times when we're going through tough times, whether it's a divorce or it's betrayal or anything like that, one of the first things that people do is tend to hide, tend to go in, tend
I
to,
did that.
yes, yeah. So tell me, like, how did they help you heal?
Yeah, I did do that because, if you think about, again, we were married for the second marriage, we were married for 13 years, raised our kids together. We were in a very interactive neighborhood. So all of our neighbors, we did our social outings with our neighbors. Every holiday was a party in our neighborhood. The kids played with each other, right? We had the bus stop ladies at the bus stop. That it
Yeah.
was one of those neighborhoods, right? And so where we all spent every weekend at our pool, the neighborhood pool, So for me, and he was very beloved in the neighborhood.
Mm.
So it was hard for me because when it came out that I wanted the divorce and I didn't want to badmouth him. I didn't want to say what it was like for me, right? Because I didn't want to be talking about him to others. It wasn't right. That was between us. Second of all, we had children. So I didn't
Yeah.
want them, hearing their mother talking bad about their dad. So I put on a smile and just kind of explained, well, it's just not good for us. So that was the hardest for me. And that's why I started withdrawing the most, is because I felt like nobody understood me. Nobody knew what it was like to be me. They didn't see my side or my perspective. And I felt like I had to hide it from them to be a good girl and not talk about my ex, right?
Yes.
So I think we've all been through that at some level too, where we feel like we're always protecting the other person
Right.
or
And we're
reputation.
or putting on for, and this is real, like for other people involved, like children,
Yeah.
family members, people we care for, putting on a face so that they feel protecting them really is
Yeah.
like what it comes down to.
Exactly. So again, I was still in that place where I had to kind of lock down my feelings and emotions, and I started
Yes.
withdrawing from my neighbors. But I still had, because as an only child, I formed friendships that are more like sisters. So I had my high school friends, those girlfriends, like that I've known my whole life. One of my best friends, we met when I was turning 6 years old. I had her to my sixth birthday party. And from that moment on, we've been like sisters. I remember her, she had knee surgery. I would come home every day after school and bring her her homework. Her grandmother passed away, and I got the day off from school so I could sit next to her at her grandmother's funeral. Like that kind of
Oh,
friendship. And so she was a call. I'd call her every day. She came to visit me with her kids. I had her. She was a safe space for me. I had another friend, my friend Marianne, who was another childhood friend that to this day we still talk probably 3 mornings a week. And we met when we were in elementary school. And, she's like a sis. She is. She's like a sister to me. I can tell her anything. And I did, right? I could be that
oh,
unfiltered version of myself and
yes,
say all the ugly things I was thinking and feeling. And she was right
yes.
there with me and, standing by me and defending me and making me laugh. Because that was another thing
Oh.
too. These two women made me laugh so hard when I felt like there was, I couldn't see an end to it.
Yes. And I think that is important to find those people that you can be unfiltered with,
Yeah.
that you can be really raw and real with, that see you for what you're
Yeah.
going through. And for all of us who are going through stuff, finding that tribe of people, those friendships, and keeping that commitment to talk and share. A lot of my friends, we send Marco Polos to each other because our lives are so busy and on different time schedules, or like voice messages, and it's so fun to like have the technology to help support each other. And we've had such deep conversations through voice messages or Marco Polo because our schedules are so opposite. And it's just so important to like make that time and create that real connection, even though part of us is saying, no, just go hide. Just, no one's going to want to see this side, or no one's going to want to feel or know this part. But there are people that want to walk it with us, and
Yeah.
finding those beautiful people. And I think this goes so much into your human design of how you show up for others and how you're designed to connect. You are a connector. I mean, that's like your superpower is connection. So, like when we were talking about this before, it was so funny because as in human design, we always start with a human design type. And that's kind of this very foundational way of how you operate best, your gifts that you were born with. And I told you, I was like, you are a magnetic connector, and you really have this ability to connect with other people. You're wired to see insights that other people don't see. And as a projector, you have the power to have a presence and not necessarily being like this, all this energy, knock it out type of thing, this energizer bunny. So as a projector, your energy comes in waves. It comes in ups and downs, sometimes you're really on and sometimes you're not. And
Yeah.
this is how like sometimes you need to be around people and sometimes you're like, I need my own time, but a lot of times in business, we're surrounded by people who are working from way early in the morning to way late at night. That's kind of the norm in careers. But with us as projectors, you and I both, our energy are up and down, and there can be this pressure to have this certain amount of pace. So what's helped you to let go of the pressure of keeping up with other people's pace?
I think that a lot of it, well, and I can go back to the fact that I went through two divorces, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think that what I learned about myself is that it's okay to go through life differently than other people do. It doesn't make me bad or worse or even different. It's the way I'm living my life. So, right, that life lesson of had two divorces and I remarried again. I'm sure there are a lot of people who would have a lot to say about that. I am sure there are plenty of people who would judge me for those decisions. But I learned that it doesn't matter what other people think, and it doesn't matter what other people are doing. I need to do what's best for me. as long as it doesn't hurt anybody, right? But as a mom, as a mom, what's the saying on the airplane? You have to put on your your oxygen mask first before you can help others. So I can't be a good role model to my kids. I can't even give advice to my kids unless I'm doing it myself first. And that's one thing I want them to learn is they aren't like everybody else, and they don't have to be like everybody else to succeed. And they don't have to have everybody like them. And I don't have to have everybody like me or approve of me. I just have to be proud of myself.
Yes. And that is actually, as a projector, when you recognize your ability, the gifts that you bring to the world, that's when you're doing the most good for yourself. That's when you're like, wow, oh my goodness. And it's actually how you make things happen is by recognizing the good that you do for that you're bringing to the world. I was just telling you before we jumped on that I had my breakfast on one of your personality plates.
Yay.
And it's my waffle with some protein yogurt and berries. And I love it. It's so wonderful. So every day I get to like have that and have that experience. And it brings me so much joy, And the gift that you're giving to other people is this joy that you've found for yourself, and allowing that to help others in that way is just so, so beautiful, So another part on your chart that really stood out to me is your profile. Now, profile is layers of your gifts and characteristics, and it's made up of 2 numbers, and you are a 4-6, and I'm a powerful role model for others. You're able to influence through connection and through this almost like immediate trust that people get when they're hanging out with you,
Yes.
They're like, oh yeah, I can just feel Amy, she's just great. You have also been taking your deep life lessons, and I cannot make this up, but living them out loud. Taking
Yes.
what you've learned and being like, wait a second, and you built a whole product around
Yes.
that. I mean, come on, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. What parts of your story have become your deepest teachers?
What parts of my story have become let's see. Well, I think probably one is what we just talked about, that I don't have to be like other people to be happy with myself and happy in my life. I also think I learned, the whole only child thing, I think that has, over the years, I realize that has always taught me to be okay being by myself. So I never really thought about it when I was a kid because it was what it was. But being married, having children, living in a house with people who rely on you and who are always there, right? And an only child, I was kind of used to that space and independence. So I learned, I do like, even though I'm an extreme extrovert and connector, I do really appreciate and need that time alone and time to myself. And I learned, thanks to one of my children, honestly, Anna has taught me it's okay to set boundaries with your family, that you don't always have to be available all the time, every day, every minute for all of your family members. It's okay to say, hey, is this an emergency? Is this important? Can it wait? Because I'm taking some me time, or it's not a good day for me to talk about this. And so I've taken that lesson and I use it now too. And I've tried it if it's with, I can say it to my mom, I can say it to one of my kids. I don't have to say it to my husband because he's pretty independent too. So all I have to say to him is, didn't you want to go downstairs to the basement and have some alone time? And he'll be like, okay. And that's how I get rid of him.
Well, it's really important as a projectors because you're connecting. When we connect with people so deeply, we feel all their feelings, we feel all their emotions, we feel all their fears. We get a lot of that connection, which is beautiful, but also we need time away to dump those emotions, to come back to center, to come back to that grounding. And so in that self-awareness, it's like, oh, you know what? I do need time alone. A couple days each week where I have blocked off that I don't meet with clients. Like I'm not like I don't meet with anybody because I just have background stuff to do, or I want to go, like do yoga. It's just those days where it's like we get to decide what our schedule looks like that's best for us. And also on your chart, when you're looking at that body graph part, there's all these centers. They're either in green or they're in white. And each center has a gift that it brings to the world. When the center is colored in white, it means the gift comes in ebbs and flows, just like the ocean. It's sometimes high tide, sometimes low tide, but it also allows us to connect with other people. And so one of your white centers is your drive center. So your drive comes in ebbs and flows, but the mantra for this is, I am driven by my passion and purpose. So that passion and that purpose can really ignite that drive, and you can thrive and get more drive when you're around people. Like, so think about if you're like in a setting, you're like, I need more drive. I need, like to get up and go. Listening to great music, going to a coffee shop, surrounding yourself with good energy. A good podcast even does it for me too, And so, but also there's this pressure to have this like constant drive. And it's so good to know that like it comes in ebbs and flows, and it's okay that it comes, because once it goes, it will return.
That is good news for me today
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I mean, and I know you have a question built in there, but I
Yeah.
have to share hearing you say that. Two things.
Yes.
I just have to share this. So originally when, back when brands were doing like, instead of a tagline, it was like the 3 words.
Yes.
So for personality plates, it was personality, passion, purpose. And passion and purpose. Is that crazy? That was
That
literally
is
my tagline:
wild.
personality, passion, and purpose. Well, I am so glad you shared that with me, because I
Yeah.
do get on this. I'm so energized and I'm so driven by my passion because it's my own business now. So I
Yes.
care about it so much and I'm excited about it. But when I came back I just took a vacation for 2 weeks, as you know, with my mom, that 84-year-old mom. And we did this beautiful riverboat cruise. And also, just like you pointed out, on that cruise, we made so many new friends. We probably knew 75% of the people on board by the time it was time to leave. But that said, I noticed that every once in a while, while my mom was still going, I had to take a break and go sit in the coffee shop by myself on board. And I'd be like, I'm going to go have some coffee by myself. And I noticed that, and you saying that about needing you're right. It's because as these people are telling me their stories and I'm listening, I feel I feel so much emotion back towards them. Like I feel like I'm making a genuine connection with all of these people. And there's like 6 different groups of people that we were meeting and connecting with. So my connection to them felt not exhausting, but I felt it. So feeling all that at breakfast, lunch, and dinner break and on the tours, that's what would happen. I would need to break away and sit by myself for a minute. And that makes perfect sense. But
Yes.
this morning I came back from that vacation after having the 2 weeks, and I woke up yesterday and today, and I had no interest in, like, I have tasks and stuff. And I thought that 2 week vacation, I should be jumping out of bed, ready to go, ready to work on my newsletters, ready to send those emails, right? Because I had 2 weeks off. But I think that it just happens to be these ebb and flow moments for me where, for whatever reason, my body just isn't in it. But could it also possibly be because that 2 week vacation was actually spent making connections?
You're totally right. That vacation is almost like you need a vacation from the vacation. Do you know what I'm saying? You need some buffer days. And I always give myself, because our charts are a lot alike. So I always give myself buffer days coming off of vacation. I will put on my work schedule off so no one can book. And so, and mentally I can know, wait, today's an off day. So if I just want to sit in bed and watch shows or go to the gym, that's all I have to do. Do you know? I don't have to do anything else. And I know once I give myself some off days that it will swing back into on. And I cannot beat myself up for saying, well, I just had a vacation. I should be able to do this, that type, because we beat ourselves up
That's what
so
happened. That's
easily.
what happened to me yesterday and this morning. When
Yes.
I woke up, I felt terrible. I thought,
Yes.
Amy, you just had 2 weeks off. What is wrong
Yeah.
with you? Where is your drive? But my
Yes.
drive is still taking is retreating because
Yes.
I've been connecting for 2 weeks solid, morning, noon, and
Yes, exactly. And that's depleting. So, yeah, I love that. And I think for everybody listening too, right? We say that all the time to ourselves. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? But we can look at our human design chart for the answers and give ourselves that love and empathy that creates even better. Because when your drive comes on, and it will, like in the next day or two, you'll have it. You'll be like, yeah, we got this. And you're going to chop through things like nothing.
yeah.
So, one other part on your chart that really stood out to me is, again, when we're looking at that body graph and we're looking at those centers, you have a green center and it's your throat center. And this is the gift of communication. And so the mantra for this is, my voice makes a difference in the world. Your voice makes a difference in this world. You are meant to share messages. Your messages land and they resonate deeply with others. And it has this great ripple effect of change in other people's lives as you speak. And the more relaxed that you can get into that and just allow the words to flow, the words will back you up. They will be there for you. Are there moments that you have second guessed your voice or held back your own story?
Yes, very often, even on this podcast, because I struggle with oversharing about other people. So, right, if I were to tell you the details of why I got divorced for my first divorce or my second divorce, I feel like it's inappropriate for me because I'm still hurting someone else by sharing it. So I hold back from sharing things like that, for example.
Yeah, and and that can be hard. And has it been a journey to develop your voice to be able to speak and not come from a place of like feeling less than?
Yeah, I would say now too when I talk about these things, the emotion isn't tied to it anymore. So I did go through therapy. I did, marriage counseling, but not just that. I had my own therapist to help me through both divorces and having that safe and legally safe place to talk about all the dirt and all the feelings and all the emotions and get it all out. That was life saving for me, getting that. And in fact, one of my therapists was so validating too, which was such a beautiful thing to say, yes, yes, that is right. That is how it was. That is what you can call it. And it was really helpful. So having that therapy piece where you really can say anything. And again, like I said, my childhood best friends, being able to call them and get it all out. So I don't feel like I was quieted, but I do know that when I go to share, there's that piece of me that holds information back. And it is hard.
Yeah. Because you do a lot of like in-person networking, you're really good, and like virtual networking, that's how we met. You're a
Yeah.
really good connector, and being a good connector, you're utilizing your voice. So, how has that helped scale your business using your voice in different ways?
Yes, I would say actually in several ways. So, utilizing social media, that's another place where I found, and I don't know, it's not even anonymous because there's no anonymity. My name is on it, but it's not my name. It's my business name. So, like, I've got my Instagram account, Amy Wynn Designs. But my name is Amy Rees. So I feel by having that one little shift, that nickname to it, I feel freer to say things I wouldn't normally say, maybe. And I do express a lot on that site where I feel like Facebook is where my mom and her friends and everybody's watching. I feel a little more private. I feel like my social media world is following me on Instagram, and my audience is made up of middle-aged women who are redefining themselves, who have been through a variety of the things I've been through, empty nesters, like all the things we feel and go through in menopause. There's a huge group that I'm connected to on Instagram. So I feel in some ways that that's my safe place. So when I have something I want to say or get out, I tend to go there and share it. So having that network that I've built, and I have built it. I have Instagram friends. We DM each other. Some of us even met in person at an event. Right. So it's not just like we just like each other's. I know their account. I know their first name. They know my first name. Like I
Yes.
feel like we're genuinely friends. We've developed friendships through this medium and that networking. And of course, that has helped me grow, but not just grow followers or connections, grow real connections. So I've met women through them, through other women who are now in my social media world. And we chat and we talk and we DM. And a bunch of them have decided to place orders. So I don't use that necessarily to actively sell, but they're like my kind of women. And then they're like, "Hey, those are your plates. I want a set." And so in the end, I've been able to sell that way. And then they're so kind and generous that a lot of them, a lot of influencers, because we have like a personal relationship, when they get a set, they start sharing with their community. So now I've kind of, my visibility has grown because of the connections and friendships I've made through social media, for one.
Yeah, and actually making a real connection, not just posting and leaving, but just like, hanging out there, commenting on other people's stuff, really getting to know them, having a conversation in DMs, cheering people on. I feel like people talk about social media and it can go like, oh, it's, something that can be detrimental. But I feel like we put in what we want to and we curate what we want to. I felt like when I got sick with MS, I had people messaging me from all over the world that I had never even met. They were like, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" And I'm like, I just thought that was so sweet and so kind that we can have these real, true relationships when we utilize our voice, when we create a space that is safe for us and allow that real connection to happen, And that's what you've done. And that's what I love that you've done with your voice is really to shine in a space where you feel comfortable in. And what a great way to really, really connect and share your story. So, Amy, this has been so beautiful having you on. This has been amazing. Thank you so, so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I love some of the insight that you shared with me. I actually needed it today, which is fantastic.
I know, isn't it amazing? It's like all that
Yeah.
we have, all the answers are right inside of us. We just have to like know what we're looking at?
Yes.
It's so beautiful. So Amy, tell us, people want to get into your world. All our listeners want to get into your world. Tell us what is the best way.
Well, I have a website. It's personalityplates. Very easy. And I'm getting ready to start a free personality plates community. So we're going to be sending out newsletters and inviting people to share their stories of friendship. And then I'll be able to feature other people's stories of friendship in the newsletter that we'll be putting out. So if anybody wants to come to the website and sign up for the 20% off coupon, when they sign up for the 20% off promo, they'll be put on the newsletter list. And then I'll be able to invite people to share their story. And then, of course, Amy Wynn Designs is the Instagram, and then the business Instagram is personality_plates. So we can be found on Facebook and Instagram there.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And you partner the personality plates that I have are the pink set. And so tell me about the foundation that you partner with that.
Sure. So we designed those with the Georgia Alliance for Breast Cancer so that a certain percentage of all the sales of the plates and the pink wine charms and the pink scarves will go back to Georgia Breast Cancer. And that organization in particular funds anywhere up to 35 different grants a year, all different.
Wow.
Right. So that some of it goes to help women who maybe can't afford a ride to chemo because they don't have the money to do that, can't afford childcare while they're in surgery or chemo. So it goes to fund organizations that will have money available to people like that. Also helping with the wigs, it helps with hospital. It just goes, there's a whole bunch of different organizations that they spread the wealth to. And there's a Georgia 2-day walk that raises money. And that's all part of the Georgia Alliance for Breast Cancer. So kind of helping spread the word of breast cancer awareness and being aware. Now, my mom was one of the youngest breast cancer survivors at the time. She was 18 when she had a mastectomy.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was 1950 or 51.
I was going to say, I bet that was even a thing.
Well, it wasn't. She was
Wha-
definitely, and her story, I have Bobby's story on the website, and it is quite emotional because as you can imagine in the 50s, and it was a very taboo subject also. So she was
Yes.
told to keep it quiet. So, she couldn't even have a normal, college life. She was in a sorority, but wouldn't stay at the sorority house or go shopping with friends because of the, mastectomies. She, talk about being brave and getting through things. She's a trooper. And she at 84 was out there. She even met more people than I did on the boat and was out there dancing one night. I had to pull her off the dance floor.
Oh
Not
my
kidding you.
goodness.
I was tired.
I bet she's yeah. I bet she's a generator or manifesting generator. Those are the two types that just have go, go, go energy all the time.
Yeah, we need to run her chart because
Yeah, you send me her
it's full
details
of
and I'll pull
energy.
that. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, listeners, thank you again. And Amy, thank you again for being on. And listeners, thank you so much for being on here. Amy's story reminds us that the most radical shift that you can do is let someone else in. And let someone love you through the healing and support you through that journey. And I'm so grateful you're here. And one of the great things you can do for this podcast is to subscribe and rate this podcast. It really helps these messages being shared throughout the world. And grateful to have you here. And we'll see you in the next episode. Wasn't that so amazing? Oh my goodness, I came away with pages of notes and intentions that I've been feeling. And what I want you to do now is one thing, okay? I want you to either sit with the feeling that you've had during this episode. I want you to look at your notes and I want you to focus in on that one thing that you can do going forward. As human beings, we get so inspired by inspiring podcasts and speakers, and then we forget to zone in on one thing. And so I want you to focus in on that one thing that you can do moving forward. I'm going to give you just a pause because I like a pause, and a pause is easier to do with people. So I want you to pause and think of that one thing. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to write that one thing down, because as human beings, we always forget. I always forget too. And so I want you to write that thing down, either put it in the notes on your phone, put it on a sticky that you'll see different places. I want you to have that so you can go back to and reflect over and over again, because these episodes aren't just for you to inspire you in the moment. They're to inspire your actions going forward in the next moments, and I'm here to back you up. And I'm so grateful you're here. One thing I would love for you to do, as we get these messages out more and more, the thing that can help this podcast, and it can help me out so much, is for you to go like and subscribe and share these episodes. It's so easy. It just takes a second, but it helps other people to find these episodes. It helps the podcast to get out there, and I so appreciate it. So if you